From the spine-tingling premise of The Purge to the downright depressing atmosphere of Hereditary, many horror movies are so unbelievable that you need to see them for yourself. Starting off, it's The Purge. The idea behind this movie is pretty simple.
It's the originality of the concept. Jason got really excited about this script and gave it to me. So the combination of those two guys, Jason and James, sending me this, and it felt like an old school genre movie that I grew up on watching.
But it's so good that it manages to get you interested from the start. Plus, when you add in all the social commentary, that's even more relevant now than when the film first came out. It's no surprise that the film manages to remain a huge hit among fans. It's one of those movies that really dives into the many aspects of classicism while still offering enough chills to make you feel like you got your money's worth. The film has some incredibly crazy scenes that can definitely startle any cinema goer. But it's not the only horror film that's managed to be iconic, because there's also Creep. Auteur Mark Duplass worked on a very low budget when making Creep, and he even described it as an art house film that takes a darker turn. The film is a found footage flick, which isn't exactly revolutionary, but the story really takes a wild turn and almost tires you out intentionally with its long and disorienting dialogues. The movie involves a videographer who's hired on Craigslist by a guy who wants to have a video of his unborn son before he dies from a brain tumor. Weird enough, right? Well, this is just the tip of the iceberg. It's one of those films where you just can't help but imagine yourself being stuck in that situation. In the end, you're definitely going to walk away creeped out by the movie, which makes me think that it did its job. But of course, you can't talk about horror without mentioning Jordan Peele, which is why the next film on this list is Get Out. This film is equal parts humorous and horrifying. It came out in 2017 and was Jordan Peele's directorial debut, and boy did he knock it out of the park. In fact, the film's great messages and themes have even allowed it to receive the title of being a social thriller by some. It's not every day you see discussions about racism so openly in Hollywood.
It began as the fun of a horror story, and it turned, in the middle of the process, it turned into something more important.
But somehow, this movie managed to go there and truly offer some unbelievable moments.
I stuck with it, and one of the, just the most fulfilling and validating things to see was how an audience, would sort of go in, with their different preconceived notions of what the film were.
It stars Daniel Kaluuya as a black man who's visiting his girlfriend's parents in the suburbs. Her parents are definitely very enthusiastic about having him over, and as you soon learn, they're a little too excited about the whole thing, because let's just say they've got a bit of a science project on their minds. The film is downright disturbing at points, and interestingly, not a lot of it has to do with blood or bodies. Instead, the film's over-the-top ideas and portrayal of racism is what makes it such an iconic horror that's sure to be talked about for years to come. That said, there's another horror movie that manages to completely horrify its audience. Yup, I'm talking about Hereditary. This is a movie that really makes you realize how scary family can be. After all, you never get to choose where you are born, and that one thing determines just about every aspect of your life. Hereditary was the first feature film from Ari Aster, who's now considered a genius when it comes to horror. It's made even better due to the raw and downright horrifying portrayal of a grieving mother, done by none other than Toni Collette. As the film dives deeper into her despair, things start to unravel and will leave you thoroughly shaken. And soon enough, the film takes a dark turn that it just doesn't recover from. This is a movie that didn't exactly reinvent the horror genre. It still uses much of the same bells and whistles that fans are accustomed to. But the way that all of the details and the storyline are shared, along with the amazing acting done by its lead stars, is what makes it such an incredibly memorable experience, and one that can easily scare even the most dedicated horror fans. If you're looking to see a horror movie that will definitely stick with you, you really can't go wrong with Hereditary. Though there's another horror film that managed to really make its audience think, and that's It Follows. On the surface, this movie's main threat and message are incredibly easy to decipher. In fact, it's so simple that it almost comes across as a teen sex PSA.
I thought the script was very odd and interesting. Didn't really know how, it translated into a film. Just his idea behind it and the look and the style that he wanted to create with his film, I thought was so unique for a horror movie. It's just so different and unique. I've never seen anything quite like it.
It's about a 19-year-old woman who, after having sex with her boyfriend, she finds out that she's being hunted by a demon that's going to kill her. And just how can she get rid of this sexually transmitted demon? Well, it's by passing it off to someone else, just like her boyfriend did it for her. Until she can do this, a weird zombie-like entity will continue to follow her around. And let's just say things won't look pretty if it catches up. What sets It Follows apart is its amazing use of wit and style. While the first half hour or so may play out exactly like a regular horror movie, all of it builds up to a level of dread that's rarely seen in the genre. And in the end, it offers a conclusion that doesn't feel forced or unearned, which is probably what makes the movie so great. It's clear the film is saying a thing or two about having sex, but it's not really against the idea. Instead, it's simply showcasing all of the danger, anxiety, and insecurity that can come packaged with the early experiences of intimacy in a person's life. The fact that the film managed to bring forward such unique themes and messages with its seemingly simple premise, that makes it a great addition to this list. That said, recent horror movies have been really great, and Barbarian, which came out last year, may just be among the best. This is a film that completely manages to trick the audience with its first half. It builds up a lot of tension and anticipation, and then completely flips the script.
Fun ride. It is scary, and yeah, I know everyone comes on these shows and they say, oh, watch my thing, and I've done it myself, blah, blah, blah. It's really good. But this is so scary, so fun. I can't wait for people to see. It's exciting.
It's part horror, part comedy, thanks in no small part to the director, who comes from a comedy background.
I came up with the idea of a double-booked Airbnb and the inherent danger that any woman would have when they have to decide, I'm either gonna cohabitate for the evening with a strange man, or I could sleep in my car.
Barbarian is about a woman who's visiting a new town for her job. She decides to rent an Airbnb while she's there, but it was apparently double booked, and when she gets to the house, there's already a mysterious man staying there. He decides to let her in because it's laid out, but of course she's got her wits about her and doesn't exactly trust him. Things soon start to unravel, and honestly, the second half of this movie is so insane, you wouldn't even believe me if I told you about it. Let's just say it goes in a direction you wouldn't expect and completely manages to transform the plot into something new. Barbarian received a ton of positive reception last year, and the director of the film has already begun work on his next project. Finally, it's the movie that managed to make Anya Taylor-Joy a breakout star.
I would go to work every day and just try to do my best and try not to mess up, to be honest.
Yep, I'm talking about The Witch, set in the 1600s.
If those details aren't there, I can't actually bring you back to the 17th century. And the thing is like, for me to like really make something transportive, like I feel like I need to be recreating my memory. This has to be my memory of my childhood.
This is a movie about a family of settlers who are being haunted by a nasty black goat. The film quickly devolves into complete madness from there, and offers what can only be termed as a slice of pilgrim horror. What sets the film apart is its amazing atmosphere and mood, but of course the constant chills and creeps you'll be getting definitely make it a must-watch. Though, keep some holy water handy, but those are just some of the scariest movies that you have to see to believe.